Hi, everyone. Welcome officially. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know we're all over the world today, so wherever you're tuning in from, thank you so much for joining us virtually. My name is Hayla Alawi, and on behalf of Atmosphere Press, I am so pleased to welcome you to today's live author reading, Narratives of Resilience and Perseverance for All Ages. Today, excuse me, today we'll be hearing from Cristina Garcia, author of The Pesky Problem, released on March 25th, Soni Laugesen, author of Magpoo the Magpie, released on April 15th, and Silver Phoenix, author of Ode to Women, Sweet Caroline, released on August 12th. All three authors' books can be purchased from online retailers and from select bookstores. Of course, you can also find the books on Atmosphere Press's website. That's at atmospherepress.com/books. And I'm actually going to put direct links to each book in the chat for you so you can easily check those out right on the website. At the end of today's event, we are going to have time for audience questions. So during the readings, if you think of a question for one or more of our authors, go ahead and type those in the chat and I'll make sure they get asked. Please do stay muted for the duration of the event, but feel free to use the chat for praise or comments in addition to your questions. One last note is that we at Atmosphere Press appreciate your support today and always. If you have a manuscript of your own, we would love to read it, so submit your work today to books@atmospherepress.com. Again, thank you so much for tuning in to support Cristina, Soni, and Silver today. We're going to start off with our first reader, who is Cristina Garcia. Cristina is married and a mom to three wonderful children. She holds a Master's of Education from the University of Nebraska-Kearney and earned her early childhood and special education teaching credentials. She's an educator with over 20 years of experience teaching various age groups. Christina's teaching philosophy is that of educating the whole child, head, heart, and hands. She believes that holistic teaching enables children to think critically, care deeply, and participate actively in the learning process. Her love for children and teaching inspires her to write fun and educational stories. Today, we're going to be hearing Cristina read from The Pesky Problem, a delightful tale about a family of pumpkins and gourds who band together to protect themselves from a flock of mischievous crows. The Patch finds a clever solution through teamwork, showing readers the power of collaboration and creativity. And while Christina's reading, I'm going to be screen sharing the illustrations from The Pesky Problem. Let's now welcome Cristina.
Thank you.
All right, one second. I turned off my camera, but I'm still here. I'm just gonna share the illustrations now.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I don't know if I should say good afternoon or good morning. My family and I live in Stuttgart, Germany, so it's actually 12 p.m. So,
All right,
I'm sorry. So, do I get to move the pictures, or you will do that?
I'll move them. All right,
Okay.
and we're good.
Okay. Okay. All right, so here's the story of The Pesky Problem. It was written by myself and with a lot of help from my beautiful family, and it was illustrated by Lenka Knutze and Amy De Vries. Here we go. On top of a colorful hill in the autumn countryside lived a festive family of gourds and pumpkins. Some were big and some were small. Some were short and round, others skinny and tall. Some were bright and beautiful, and some were dirty and dull. There was a fairy tale pumpkin, a knucklehead, and a baby boo. There was a warty goblin, a baby bear, and a munchkin. There was a Casper pumpkin, spiky gourds, and even a Long Island cheese pumpkin. They were a happy bunch, though they had a big problem. Day after day, a flock of crows with crazy feathers would come to peck, poke, and pester the poor pumpkins and gourds from morning until night. Oh, cacao, cacao! 2 fields over, a flock of crows was resting in the shade of a leafy tree. They were chatting and planning how to get pumpkin and gourd snacks, but most importantly, they wanted to annoy the defenseless patch. Some crows had crazy feathers sticking up everywhere, while others had sleek feathers neatly nested on their heads. Oh, another glorious day for our flock, said clever Corvus Crow, the leader of the flock. Why is that? Asked Cornelia, a curious little crow with neat feathers. What do you mean, why? Replied Corvus, annoyed with her question. What do we do each and every day for fun and food? I know what we do, said Corbin, a stout crow with messy feathers. We harass the pumpkin and gourd patch. But what if today we ate some yummy corn instead? Oh, don't you remember, Featherbrains? We can't harass the cornfield anymore. It has the most horrendous monster lurking in its midst, Corvus retorted. All the crows trembled in fear as they remembered the terrifying sight. So what's the plan, Corvus? Asked Cornelia, enjoying the thought of lunch and play. Spread out your wings, get into formation, and follow me. It's munching time, crowed Corvus. The flock followed Corvus into the pale blue sky, spurred on by the thought of juicy pumpkins and scrumptious gourds. I can't wait to play crowball with one of the little gourds or baby pumpkins, laughed Cornelia nastily. Back at the colorful patch, the pumpkins and gourds were discussing what to do about the pesky problem. Fairy Tale Pumpkin, who was the biggest and the bravest of the pumpkins, decided to make an announcement. Pumpkins big and small, she said, gourds of different varieties. We have had enough. Every day, those pesky crows fly over to attack us. They peck, poke, and poop on us. The nerve of them trying to eat our little gourds and pumpkins. We need to defend ourselves from those pestering foes. They do that all the time, exclaimed Knucklehead Pumpkin. The disrespect, man, the disrespect. This stinks, shouted Casper Pumpkin. And it's gross, added Baby Bear. Yeah, exclaimed Baby Boo Pumpkin in agreement. Enough is enough, declared Fairy Tale Pumpkin. We need to do something about those cockamamie crows. And I know exactly what to do because I have a genius plan. The pumpkins and gourds huddled together to listen to Fairy Tale Pumpkin explain her genius plan. Now, it just so happened the pumpkin and gourd patch was up the hill from a cornfield that did not have the same problem. Fairy Tale Pumpkin announced, those blasted crows never bother the cornfield. Can anyone tell me why? Baby Boo Pumpkin jumped with excitement. I know. It's because they have a scarecrow that shoos them away. Exactly, exclaimed Fairy Tale Pumpkin. So, as the leader of this patch, I say we need to be like the cornfield. We need the cornfield scarecrow to rule and protect us from those pesky birds. The other pumpkins and gourds murmured in agreement, except for one very old, very wise, very grumpy Warty Goblin. Warty Goblin said quietly and evenly, we don't need the cornfield scarecrow. We have all we need to protect ourselves. If we work together, we will find a solution to our problem. And why should I listen to you? Said Fairy Tale Pumpkin rudely. You're old and you're warty, and you think you know everything, don't you? No one listened to Warty Goblin, and sure enough, the other pumpkins and gourds rolled together, bumpity bump down the hill to ask for the cornfield scarecrow. As they approached the cornfield, Fairy Tale Pumpkin made her demand. Hey, you, ears of corn, listen up. We need your scarecrow to help our patch get rid of those pesky birds that bother us morning and night. The cornfield looked at Fairy Tale Pumpkin in amazement and let out a booming laugh that shook the earth. "You want us to give you our scarecrow? Who do you think you are?" said the cornfield in a scary voice. "Well," stuttered Fairy Tale Pumpkin, feeling less confident. I'm, I'm the leader of my patch." "Well," scoffed the cornfield, "lead your patch back to wherever you came from and leave us in peace. You must have brains full of mush to think we would give you our scarecrow. You are entitled and rude, and we will not help you." "Oh no," said Knucklehead Pumpkin. We will have to go back without the scarecrow, and those pesky birds will peck and poop on us. The disrespect, man, the disrespect." Fairy Tale Pumpkin felt embarrassed in front of the other pumpkins and gourds. Her plan had failed. With a sad hoppity hop, they began their journey back home to their patch on the hill. Back at the patch, Warty Goblin was waiting to welcome the pumpkins home. He knew the cornfield was selfish and would not help, but he had a genius plan of his own. "We don't have a scarecrow. We have nothing. We are lost," Fairy Tale Pumpkin said. "No, Fairy Tale Pumpkin, we are not lost. We have everything we need," said Warty Goblin. "We have each other. We can build our own scarecrow. Pumpkins, big and small, gourds of different varieties, we need your help," said Warty Goblin. Fairy Tale Pumpkin could see she had misjudged the wisdom of the old pumpkin. "Warty Goblin, I'm sorry I didn't listen to you earlier and I said those rude things." Warty Goblin said, "Not to worry, Fairy Tale Pumpkin. I accept your apology. Now let's get to work. Since you are the biggest and the strongest, you will form the base for our scarecrow." Fairy Tale Pumpkin happily took her place. Slowly, one by one and two by two, the pumpkins and gourds started to gather and work together. Casper Pumpkin hopped on top of the giant Fairy Tale Pumpkin, followed by the Long Island Cheese Pumpkin. "We need more to complete the body of the scarecrow," said Warty Goblin. "Baby Boo and Baby Bear, you are next. Munchkin Pumpkin, climb up there. Spiky Gourd, you'll be the neck. And Knucklehead, well, you'll be the head." Spiky gourds get up on top, form the arms, the paws, and the claws. Lastly, we'll need the pumpkin vines to hug the scarecrow nice and tight. And now that our scarecrow is complete, those pesky birds will taste defeat, Warty Goblin exclaimed triumphantly. In the distance, Corvus and his crows could be seen flying in a V formation. They flew closer and closer to the patch, all the while thinking about the nice juicy pumpkin inwards and pecking out the seeds of the littlest pumpkins. Little did they know what they would find when they reached the patch. As the crows reached the edge of the patch, the pumpkin and gourd scarecrow turned around and released a loud shoo. The crows were shocked when they saw the scarecrow with its menacing grin. They panicked and squawked and nearly fell out of the sky. They butted heads as they turned around and flew back at double the speed to seek the protection of their tree, leaving some feathers behind in their haste. The scarecrow enjoyed the show in the sky. All the pumpkins and gourds began to cheer and celebrate. In the middle of the scarecrow, Baby Boo Pumpkin looked up and down and couldn't believe she was part of something so amazing. Baby Boo looked down at Fairy Tale Pumpkin and said, "Wow, look at what we can accomplish when we put our heads together. We are the pumpkin and gourd scarecrow. Those pesky birds are no match for us." Back at the leafy tree, the crows with ruffled feathers were still in shock. Shaken up by the sight of the scarecrow, none of them said anything for a while. Cornelia fluttered down next to Corvus to roost beside him. Oh, cacao, cacao! The terrible monster in the pumpkin and gourd patch almost got us. Corvus shuddered with fear. He's fierce and tall and has a menacing grin. We've never seen anything so scary in our lives. That spooky side would be hard to forget, said Cornelia with a terrified look in her eyes. I take it we're going to give up pestering those pumpkins and gourds. Cornelia had guessed correctly, and from that day on, Corvus and his flock stopped tormenting the pumpkin and gourd family. Back in the autumn countryside, the pumpkins and gourds lived happily ever after, knowing they could protect each other from those pesky crows. The end. And on the next page, you would see the different types of pumpkins that I used in this book with their descriptions and the names that the pumpkins have. Those are actually their names. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Christina. I'm always struck when I look in these pages at the vibrant and beautiful autumnal illustrations. So I hope everyone enjoyed that. And of course, it does not compare to seeing them in real life. So definitely be sure to check out the link to Christina's book in the chat. And reading next for today is Soni Laugesen. Soni discovered that a PhD in history, 5 children, 8 grandchildren, and careers as a corporate trainer and English language teacher caused the true vocation she decided on at the age of 6, when she'd announced she would be an author, to be somewhat delayed. Finally able to indulge her passion for putting words and images together, she's now a content creator for social media, as well as a writer and illustrator of children's picture books. Today, we're going to be hearing Soni read from Magpoo the Magpie, in which Magpoo faces criticism from other magpies who point out the mistakes he's made with his name. They complain about how loud and how often he sings and disapprove of his clown-like behavior. With the Australian no worries attitude, Magpoo simply carries on with what he does best, enjoying life and singing louder than ever. I'll also be screen sharing the illustrations from Soni's book. So, Sony, I'm gonna pull that up and then you can take it away.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here. I've always loved magpies, both in New Zealand, where I grew up, and now in Australia, where I live. So my dedication is to magpie lovers everywhere. Howdy, mate, and how do you do? I'm from Australia, and my name's Magpoo. Woo-doo-la-doo, sing a lot, Magpoo. That's not your name, the other birds cry. Don't you remember? Your name's Magpie. Boo-doo-la-doo-lie-lie-lie. Magpoo the magpie can't hear what they say. He sings and he sings and he sings all day. La-doo, la-doo, day, day, day. Magpoo the magpie sings as he flies. He sings to the clouds and he sings to the skies. He sings louder than all the magpies. Laddle, laddle, a sky, sky, sky. He sings so loud they all shout, be quiet. Magpoo the magpie keeps singing at night. He sings to the stars in the bright moonlight. Lardo, lardo, night, night, night. Magpoo the magpie sings slurping his tea and his lunch and his breakfast or even one pea. Don't sing, the birds tell him, when your beak's full. Didn't you learn anything when you were at school? Waddle, waddle, a poo, poo, poo. Magpoo, the magpie, can sing upside down. He sings like an acrobat. He sings like a clown. Why are you doing that? Will you ever stop? Lado, lado, pop, pop, pop. Magpoo, they say, silly bird, have more sense. If you don't stop singing, you'll fall off the fence. Lado, lado, sense, sense, sense. Magpoo, the magpie, holds on as he swings. Forwards and backwards he swings as he sings. Lado, lado, swing, swing, swing. Magpoo, the magpie, hasn't got a care. He sings turning somersaults high in the air. He sings going up and he sings going down. Lado, lado, down, down, down. Magpoo, the magpie, is so smart. He has a loud voice and a very big heart. And if I was a magpie, I know what I'd do. I'd sing out loud, like sing-a-lot, Magpoo. Yoodoo-ladoo, sing-a-lot, Magpoo. Thank you. And I
Oh,
hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed writing it and painting the illustrations.
yeah, thank you, Soni. I think what is so striking about hearing you read it out loud is really hearing the rhythms come to life and the rhyme scheme, and of course, the bird calls. So, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that was a great experience. And of course, I hope that everyone checks out the link to this book as well, because that's another experience you can have with the kids in your life. Our final reader for today is Silver Phoenix. Silver is a qualified teacher tutor of English literature in arts and humanities, holding a BA HONS degree in English literature. Silver has had a natural talent and love for creative arts since childhood, even before school, and can still remember since the tender age of 5, jotting down thoughts in a pocket diary in the form of stories, poems, and song lyrics. Silver also enjoys painting, drawing cartoons and comic strips, as well as sculpting clay models, ceramics, and pottery, so it's always been there from an early age. When not writing, Silver loves animals and the natural environment, living and caring for beloved pet chihuahuas and parents as well. Today, we're going to be hearing Silver read from Ode to Women, Sweet Caroline, a delightful mix of charming stories and poems that celebrate the beauty and strength of women of all ages. From whimsical childhood tales to heartwarming stories of love and friendship, this collection offers something for everyone. Embrace the magic of childhood with stories about talking animals and visits to the library. Experience the joys and challenges of adolescence through tales of first crushes and navigating new relationships. And there's so much more in there, but before I can keep going on and on about it, we'll hear now from Silver.
Yes, the story I'm going to read is, as the previous two authors have read their stories about birds, so it's fitting I should read a story about birds as well. So today I'm going to read the story called The Robins Will Chirp and Sing for Matilda Perry Rusterson. Matilda Perry Rusterson sat brooding in her back garden. She stared up at the weeping willow and sighed. You know, you look just like how I feel inside. I, I'm not just the same person who I used to be. Just then, some black and white magpies swooped down on the green grass and began to play with one another. She gazed at them and smirked. Everyone seems to be preoccupied in one thing or another, except me. Nothing exciting seems to be happening in my life. I don't know what to do now. Matilda lived alone in a large semi-detached house. She had no job, but had a good amount of savings that kept her stable. She was in her mid-60s and tried very hard to keep herself busy with household activities. But once she did the chores for the day, there always came a point of time in the late evening that she called the void hours or limbo time, in which she would sit in her back garden pondering and, like today, brooding. She said to herself, a regular habit of hers being alone, I still seem to have this estranged fantasy in my mind that one day someone will appear in my life, a friend who I can talk to, and we can sail through life's journey together. More magpies. I don't mind, but why don't robins ever appear here like in other people's gardens? She got up from her white chair and began to walk around on the slabs. She stared around at the plants. It was summer, and some of the new crop of buds were opening up. She saw that some were also thirsty, and so she got hold of her green hosepipe and turned on the tap. Matilda altered the water pressure so it turned from a strong jet into a soft spray. Whee! She giggled, and raised the hosepipe up in the air until the water went upwards and landed on her hair and face. Suddenly there was a rustling sound close by. She turned around, and to the left of her, she noticed there was something moving in the hedges. This was accompanied by heavy breathing. Oh no! Matilda thought for a moment. What should what she should do? She held her breath, removed her slippers, and tiptoed to the hedges. Got you! She suddenly turned on the hosepipe to jet speed and fired it into the hedges. Hey, turn that darn thing off before I drown. Peter Robinson Devlin. I should have known it was you. She turned off the hosepipe and set it down. Peter was Matilda's next door neighbor to the left side. He enjoyed playing pranks on Matilda. When will you grow up, for heaven's sake? He shrugged and cut into her garden through the hedges, pulling a small booklet from his backside trouser pocket and handing it to Matilda. The pocketbook of bird song, she said. Oh, you really shouldn't have. I borrowed it from the local library and thought, well, maybe you might find something interesting in there. I know you're a big fan of robins. Matilda's eyes filled with tears of joy. She gave him a hug and jumped up and then skipped back indoors. Peter began to follow in her footsteps. Hey, Matilda, you forgot your slippers. He lifted them up and proceeded to follow her when suddenly there was a click. She had locked the door, a signal for Peter to go back home and not disturb her. Peter caught a glimpse of her lying on the sofa in her conservatory, flicking through the book. He sighed and turned back to his own home next door. One of these days, I'm going to dress up as a robin myself to catch Matilda's attention, I swear. He stopped in his tracks and his face lit up. He snapped his fingers, and with an enlightened look on his face, idea. The following morning, Matilda woke up, as always, at 10 o'clock and was fixing herself some toast when suddenly the bell rang. She tottered to the door and opened it. Peter, what on earth are you doing at my doorstep at this ungodly hour? It's 10 a.m., Matilda. Okay, listen, I want you to close your eyes. This isn't another of your childish pranks, is it, Peter? Peter looked at her reassuringly and placed his left hand over her eyes. Now, not a word until I say so. There was a moment of rustling noise, and then Peter removed his left hand from Matilda's eyes. All right, now, very carefully open your eyes. Matilda opened her eyes very slowly, and Peter uh, escorted her outside. He stopped and pointed across the garden. Matilda, look around. It looks like a Go on up closer and have a good look, Matilda, said Peter, prompting her gently with his hands. She looked back at Peter and then again in the direction of the small object that appeared to be moving. A few steps further revealed everything. A huge smile formed on Matilda's face, and she rushed up to it. Wee, it's a baby robin. Oh, poor baby. Peter stood his ground and acted as an observer. He called out, You see, Matilda, a robin did appear after all. That's what you wanted all along, isn't it? Matilda nodded gently, cupped her face, and allowed the baby robin into her hands. She then made her way inside her home. Peter followed, and this time Matilda did not lock him out. Once inside, Matilda got to work right away. She placed the robin gently on a pillowcase and sat beside it, flicking through the pocketbook of birds. Now, what are you looking up, Matilda? I'm searching for the part about robins, about what they eat from infancy. Now, shh. She engrossed, so engrossed was Matilda in her pocketbook of birds that she completely overlooked the fact that the baby robin was restless indoors and used its beak to edge its way off the pillow cover. After a few moments, when Matilda had located the page, with Peter's help, they both turned to where the baby robin was placed, only to find it empty. Oh no, cried Matilda hysterically. Where is it? Well, don't just stand there gaping, Peter. Help me find it. Find it. It has a name, you know. She is a beautiful baby girl who I have named Andriana. Oh, pardon me, quipped Matilda, wiggling her fingers at Peter tauntingly. Now, do you have any tutti frutti ice cream in the freezer? Matilda's eyes grew wide and she tutted, folded her arms, and tilted her head to the left. Peter Robinson, I just cannot believe my ears. You're behaving just like a schoolboy. Peter, your school days are over. Read my lips. Over. Over. Matilda's looked just like a goldfish underwater. Peter tried very hard but could not resist a giggle. Oh, this is getting so silly. He decided to place his foot down. That's it. And he headed straight towards Matilda's freezer. No, Peter, wait. Yes, here it is. Yes, here it is. Tutti Frutti ice cream. He turned the carton around to check the expiry date, and it was valid for at least a few more months. Matilda was watching closely and followed Peter as he closed the freezer door and made his way into the piano room. Oh, please don't mind me, just feel at home, she tutted. Peter shrugged and pulled up the piano chair, placed the ice cream to one side, and rolled up his sleeves. He coughed and hit a sharp note, and after which he began to play a lullaby. This was accompanied by his whistles. He sang ever so softly, Little baby Adriana, oh please come back, my love, into my arms for you. I love you, darling. He continued, Now come to me quickly, my angel pie, as your tutti frutti is going to melt, my dear sweetheart. Suddenly he stopped as he heard a chirp, followed by another and another, and then he could feel something on his left foot, pecking away. Just then Matilda appeared from the kitchen and shouted out, Lunch is ready. Shh! Ahem, coughed Matilda. Don't shush at us. Suddenly Peter's jaw dropped and his eyes lit up with joy as he turned to see Matilda with Adriana perched on top of her head. Peter could still feel a strange sensation on his left foot, and when he looked down to see, he could not believe his eyes. After all over his trouser legs, little baby robins were climbing up his leg, and there was even one who had made it into the tutti frutti ice cream container. As if that wasn't enough, suddenly all the birds began to chirp, and both Peter and Matilda kept quiet as the birds' chirps formed into a kind of love song until Peter looked at Matilda with bright eyes and said, You see, the robins will chirp for Matilda Perry Rusterson. Matilda smiled and began to laugh. Ha ha. Peter, this may sound really daft, but I think they're telling us that we should tie the knot and get married. So, what do you think? Well, I think it's a pretty potent suggestion. What do you think, Adriana? Adriana flew off Matilda's hair and onto Peter's right palm. She began to chirp and sing. And also, your surname will then be Robinson, too. Just what you always dreamed about. Yes, Peter, and we'll adopt these baby robins and open a robin sanctuary. There's no need to. We can convert our homes into sanctuaries. And so that is the story of Peter and Matilda, the family Robinson. And they spent the rest of their life as a married couple, enjoying the sweet and simple life, surrounded by robins who sang and chirped all day and all night long. The end.
Thank you so much for that reading, Silver. I think that was a great encapsulated story. And like you said, that was so thematically accurate for the three authors featured today. So that's some beautiful synergy there. So at this time, we have time for our audience Q&A. So if you have a question for one or more of our authors, go ahead and type those in the chat and I will make sure they get asked. This first question has come in for Soni. You mentioned you painted the illustrations in your book. How did your writing process come about? Did you write or paint first?
Oh, thank you. That's a good question. I should say that when I was living in Sydney, there was a balcony on the back of my flat, and I began to feed magpies there. And at one stage, there were 13 magpies all around me. And of course, I started looking at them and couldn't resist sketching them and just adoring their beaks, their claws, their wings. Then I moved to Tasmania and I didn't have magpies there, but I had the memory of magpies. And then the story formed itself in my mind, the story of one particular magpie who was noisier and just had so much character. So it was kind of about the same time, but probably the visual aspect attracted me first.
Yeah, I can imagine, if you're crafting this kind of multimedia story, a lot of it does come to be simultaneously. So I can totally see how that would have flowed. A similar question came in for Christina. Did you also create your illustrations yourself? And what was the process of either illustrating or working with an illustrator like?
Well, thank you so much for the question. So, actually, when I had the idea of writing this story about pumpkins, I grew up in Romania and my grandparents were farmers. So, it's dear to my heart to talk about vegetables and so on. But honestly, when I sent the manuscript to the illustrators, I told them exactly what I wanted. I said, I want this pumpkin to have this kind of facial expression. I would like this pumpkin to look like this. So they did, both of them, the two ladies did an amazing job bringing those facial expressions to life. Um, my son, who at the time he was 9 years old, he's quite the artist, and actually he drew the scarecrow that was in the cornfield. He also drew the scarecrow, the when the pumpkins were put together, he drew that scarecrow as well, obviously as a 9-year-old, and the crows bumping heads into each other. So the illustrators, they took those images and obviously they added their touches on it. But those are all like some of my son's drawings. So when I mentioned earlier that this is a family project, it is a family project. So, yeah, I don't know if that answered the question, but definitely just I had the vision for it, and with my family and the illustrators, it came alive beautifully, I feel.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think it's amazing to hear about such a collaborative effort to put together something like this and to literally hear how that came together, I think is really amazing as well. We have a question for Silver now. Since you wrote a collection, how did you write your stories? Did you have an existing concept in your head that you fit stories around, or did you go the other way around, or something else?
Well, it started initially when I was watching the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2023. I was following all the matches, and when the matches finished and the grand finale came, the final, it was a full stop. And I thought, no, I wanted some continuity to it. So then I thought to myself, that's when the idea took place for the book. So that's why I put the names of all the lionesses in the back. And each story, I made an effort to make the Christian name of each of the characters, regardless of whether they're child, teenage, middle age, old age. They have the names matching those of the lionesses, like Ella Toon. There's a Ella in it. There's a Chloe in it. So if you look around, you'll see, the names are there. And these stories were written over different periods of times, over 20 years. So I just pieced them all together, and I thought they'll look nice, and just as a celebration of woman and just ode to woman. Um, it just all fitted in so naturally. It's like it was meant to be. So I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I can imagine, as you're crafting this project over such a long period of time, it becomes this kind of um, question of making sure it all stays very consistent and has the through line. So I'm intrigued to hear about that process and how that came together. Um, Speaking of the process, actually, the next question, this is for all three authors. What part of the writing process surprised you the most? Um, Christina, do you want to start us off this time?
Um, I think just going back and working with the editors, and I just loved how, sometimes they just took a word away, or sometimes they put a comma where maybe I didn't put the comma, or just kind of adding a few more details here and there. It's not like I didn't think they can now make the book better, but because this is my first project, my first book that I wrote, that surprised me. I was like, wow, they just put a comma. Look how much nicer the sentence flows. So I really loved to see how nicely the book was reading after working with the editors. I'm sorry.
It's kind of wild how much those, like the teeniest, tiniest little change can really affect everything. So
I think so,
I
yeah.
can imagine, in your own story that really brings a new perspective to things, and that can be really rewarding.
Yeah.
Sony, what about you? What part of the writing process surprised you the most?
Me?
Yes, sorry.
Yes. Um, um, I I am a poet as well as a writer. I've written a lot of poetry. And what surprised me with this book is once I started, I realized it was going to be in rhyme. And I was surprised how easily the rhymes came together. It actually only took me maybe a few weeks or less than that to put the words together. And I think it was something to do with the calls of the magpie, which have always intrigued me. But yeah, I was surprised how easy it was. It took a little bit longer to paint the pictures, but that was really enjoyable too.
Yeah, I'm kind of fascinated to hear that because as someone who does not write any poetry, rhyme schemes are kind of intimidating to me. But clearly it, flowed very well, came very easily to you, I would say. And Silver, what about you? What part of the writing process surprised you the most? Excuse me.
Um, I just I just enjoy the whole the process. I mean, it's the attention to the detail that just the way the whole writing journey itself, everything is checked and proofread, and putting your ideas together, and then making it on a professional level, and just that opportunity. I'm so thankful to the Atmosphere team. Thank you all so much indeed for making my dream come true. I actually refer to my books as my paper children. So you know, but this particular book, Ode, this holds a special place in my heart because it's regardless of what future writing I'm doing, this has got its own place for me. So it's just the characters seem to be brought to life, and what more can I say? It's just basically I'm still in a dream state. I'm dreaming inside that my dream has come true, and I'm just enjoying every moment of my dream. So putting it all into perspective and enjoying it, I'm just feeling like I'm floating on a cloud just now and just enjoying this, this invitation, this meeting. And I'm very thankful to you for giving me this platform to read my story and share with other authors as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, I love that phrase, your paper children. I've often heard books referred to as an author's baby or child, but paper children is such a beautiful way of putting it. I love that. I might be
Yeah.
stealing that, I will admit, but we have another question. This is for, again, all three authors. What are you planning as your next writing project? Um, Maybe going in reverse order. Silver, do you want to start us off this time?
Yeah, actually, I've actually launched my second one. This is the second book we're talking about, the next project. I've actually completed it now. It's a kind of a novel and a screenplay. It's set in Japan, and it's called Love Will Find Its Way, Hues of Pink. And it's about a protagonist is called Yuki, and it's set in Japan. And not just in Tokyo, but all the different places in Japan. And she has one adopted sister and one twin sister, and her parents are not really married. I don't want to give too much away. And I've actually done my own water paintings for these. So that's what I've actually completed it now. So I'm trying to bring this project to life. That's my next project.
Another illustrated work on the way. That is exciting to hear about.
Yeah.
Sony, what about you? What's next for you?
I have three projects underway at the moment. One is another picture book about birds, this time scrub turkeys or bush turkeys, which are hilariously funny birds. And where I live now in Brisbane, I have a lot around me, so I had to write about them. But I'm also writing two novels. The first one, I think, is finished, except I've thought that maybe six times, and each time gone back and improved it more, I think. And I'm waiting to finally say that is done so that I can get to the other novel, which I began maybe only 2 years ago. So, yeah, I've got plenty to write.
Yeah, lots of exciting things on the horizon. I totally relate to this constant thinking of something is finished and now it's not unfinished. So, and I think a lot of writers do, but exciting to hear it's coming soon. And Christina, closing us out, what's next for you?
What's next for me? So my family and I are thinking to take some of the characters from the Pesky Problem and just give them their own story, their own adventure. So that is something that we have in our minds, and I do have a book that I would like to write about. Yeah, again, birds, and I mean it's about geese. And this beautiful goose that actually I saw in real life was missing a foot, a webbed foot, so she's trying to hide her disability, I guess, but everything doesn't go the way she thinks it will go. So I do have lots of ideas in my head. I'm also a third grade teacher and a mom, so I don't know if they will come alive as fast as I would like to, but the ideas are there. They're, in my notebook written down. So we'll see when they, when they'll um, um, be finished. I don't know, but those are some of the projects I have going on.
Absolutely. The idea of a series is very exciting to me, and of course, the geese as well. So, from all three of you, I mean, really lots of great things to look forward to. So, I'll keep my eyes peeled. But in the meantime, I just want to say it was so wonderful to hear all three of these books come to life today. Especially, I always love hearing books brought to life in the voices of their writers. So, to Christina, Sony, and Silver, Thank you so much for being generous with your time, your pictures, your
Pleasure.
illustrations, your words, your thoughts, all of that today. Everyone in the audience as well, thank you for being here with us to celebrate these authors together. Don't forget, of course, that you can order The Pesky Problem, Magpoo the Magpie, and Ode to Women, Sweet Caroline from the links in the chat. I just put them in there one more time for you so you don't have to kind of dig through. Please also consider checking out atmospherepress.com to browse our new and forthcoming releases, sign up for our email newsletter, or submit a book manuscript of your own. You can submit your work to books@atmospherepress.com and just let us know that you attended today's event. We'll look forward to hearing from you, but until then, that's it for today. So have a great rest of your weekend, the rest of your Sunday, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.